What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So today we're going to talk about two penny stocks that I've discussed prior in the form of Healthier Choice Management, ticker symbol HCMC, and also HighTide, ticker symbol HITIF. So as I've already made in-depth videos on both of these stocks in the past, I'll link them in the description below. Today we just want to look at some news articles or catalysts that will affect the share price going forward, and we'll also have a look at my own trading 2 and 2 portfolio to see if I hold either of these two stocks. And with all that being said, let's dive right into today's video. The first stock we'll talk about is HighTide, ticker symbol HITIF. We can see on screen here that I currently have 164.3 shares within HighTide, and it's currently trading at 66 cents a share. We can see the dotted line here on the 1 month chart is my average price at the moment of 64 pence or 64 cent, so just under 65 cent mark. So we can see at the moment we're currently up 2.6%. Again, that's probably not the best return for a penny stock, but it's green nonetheless. When I do research for any new penny stock, I always accumulate as much information as I can in the form of bullet points or catalysts, and for HighTide I've also done that. For most of these points we've discussed in prior videos, but they are kind of the product offering and diversification. Now, I've discussed many times how impressed I am with their offerings for a penny stock and the continued growth and expansion of different various cannabis products, so that's very impressive in my opinion. They also have Celeb Endorsements that we've mentioned again in prior videos, such as Snoop Dogg and Cheech and Chong, which are huge brand ambassadors for this industry and sector. They have a great CEO in the form of Raj, which is really kind of transparent, which is great to see for any penny stock, especially on his Twitter page. He has like a lot of information there, and is always helpful to answer any Q&As as well. Also, some points that we're going to discuss further in detail because it's more updated news is that they're ever expanding, and also that they're the leading Canadian cannabis stock. So again, we're going to leave that for the end in terms of the mergers and acquisitions that I want to discuss further in today's video. But they're also filing for the NASDAQ. Again, if they get onto this, they'll be of huge importance and will definitely drive up the share price, as will increase their exposure as well. And also, they have huge potential at current prices. The point I've mentioned in prior videos was HighTide's acquisition of Smoke Cartel, which is of huge significance because Smoke Cartel does have a fairly good e-commerce platform and online presence, so this will be only of added benefit to HighTide, and it's also reassuring and promising as an investor to see HighTide driving home the point that they aggressively want to look at mergers and acquisitions going forward. And just to go back on Smoke Cartel again, there's kind of two key points of why I think this was a brilliant acquisition. Firstly, we can see their online basis in terms of e-commerce, and this was for $8 million. But secondly, and probably most importantly, is their consumer base. Now, I have mentioned in prior videos that HighTide are doing very well in their kind of home domestic markets, but in order for this stock to grow, they do need to expand their kind of online presence and also their global market. So I think this is brilliant because we can see here as well on screen that the Smoke Cartel had customers within the UK, Australia, Germany, Mexico, to name but a few. But the kind of names that stick out here are the kind of more emerging markets in the form of Mexico, and also some of the European markets in the form of Germany and the UK, which will be of extreme importance to this company going forward. And two other kind of key points that come to mind as well was their merger of Meta Growth, which is another kind of acquisition or merger which will be of extreme importance because they are kind of combining all their prior competitors and forming them into one big company in the form of HighTide, so that's brilliant to see as well. And second of all, they're kind of opening of more kind of bricks and mortar style stores, so they're up to about 72 or so at the moment. So for a penny stock, that's fairly large. And as I said, every time they open a new store, it really does expand their product offering and base, and also gives them new target audiences as they continue to grow. So I will continue to buy more of HighTide probably every week or two. Again, small quantities as they're only about 66 cents a share at the moment. So like you could buy a fairly large amount of shares for a small bit of capital. But I do want to only drip feed money into this stock going forward. Again, just to kind of finalize this stock before we move on to HCMC, two of the main catalysts that I believe will affect the share price most again is firstly the NASDAQ, and they're filing to get onto the NASDAQ. If they can get onto this stock exchange, will really be of huge benefit to the company. However, if they don't, it could be a bit of a setback, probably in the medium term, but long term I do feel that this company has a lot of potential even for a penny stock. And second of all, probably the second main point of what is going to be of huge importance for HighTide will also be how their product offerings and also their legislations going forward within the US markets. Now, again, it does make a huge difference how the legislation within the US in terms of cannabis recreational use goes down, and even for medical use as well. So the laws are going through at the moment, and they're kind of up to the Senate and Congress at the moment. But again, it might take time, but long term, I do feel if the HighTide can get into the US market fairly big, they have huge potential going forward. And I can only see the share price from 66 cents at the moment skyrocketing well above the $1 mark. And the second stock, or penny stock, that I want to give an update on today is Healthier Choice Management, ticker symbol HCMC. That's currently trading at 0.0012 cent per share at the moment. So as you can imagine, you could get a large volume of shares for very little capital. As I'm sure you're aware, I always give full disclosure in all my investing related aspects. So I'm fairly open about all of that, and I currently don't have a position within HCMC at the moment. As we can see on the 1 month chart here, it's currently down 32.83% in the last month alone. Even on the 1 week chart, it's down nearly 20% at the moment. Now, besides the relatively or extremely cheap price, the main reason probably why 80 to 90% of investors are invested or interested in the stock is due to the lawsuit with Philip Morris at the moment about patent rights for one of their vapes. So as you can imagine, there's been a lot of speculation on this lawsuit. Again, this will impact HCMC both either positively or negatively, and again, I mentioned in prior videos that there's 3 outcomes. The 2 obvious ones is that they either win or lose the lawsuit, but the third one that a lot of people don't discuss is the possibility of Philip Morris actually buying out HCMC, which again I do think would be great for their share price regardless. Again, as you can imagine, because a lot of the share price is literally driven around this lawsuit and the outcome, again, we're still waiting on an outcome at the moment. It was no surprise that Philip Morris pushed back this statement and wanted to reject the offers or claims made by HCMC. Again, that's no surprise there. So we're kind of just waiting for a recounter argument here again and see where it pans out. But sure, definitely, the second we actually get an update on this, I'll be sure to let you all know. And even, I never thought I'd see on Yahoo Finance, in terms of a news article that a Twitter page was made. I never thought you'd see such big deal over that. But HMC have officially made a Twitter page again. This is a few weeks back. But it just goes to show how much rumours and speculation there has been that has driven the company into actually making a Twitter page to clarify all of this. Even though 90% of the people are only waiting for the outcome of this lawsuit, there is other news for HMC at the moment again, in the form of their big vitamins. Healthier Choice Management have relaunched their product offerings in terms of their vitamin supplements. You can even see in this article the way they straight away dismiss the vitamins in terms of popularity or in terms of importance, even though it is a fundamental factor for the company. But in my opinion, HMC is more of a speculative play at the moment, and a lot of people aren't really interested in, let's say, the vitamin side of things, even though that is their core product. A lot of people are just waiting for the outcome of this lawsuit, which will really impact the share price both positively or negatively. And I really do feel if they do lose the lawsuit, 90 to 95% of the investors will jump out of the stock as quick as they can, and literally it could be disastrous for the company going forward. I also feel if this lawsuit continues to go on and drag on, even if there is no official outcome, I do feel that investors will start to kind of lose patience and just start taking the money out of the stock, even if it goes back to parity or just above the green. I do feel people will start losing their patience. But like, again, who knows who's going to win the lawsuit, but HMC have kind of got a good legal team together, and they're definitely well known across the US and probably globally as well. So that is the one promising thing for HMC in this lawsuit. If HMC had a normal kind of legal team, I would say that Philip Morris would more than likely actually win this lawsuit due to the patent. And probably the main factor of that was because they are substantially bigger in terms of capital at their disposal, so they'd be able to get a fairly good legal team. And also, it'd be a lot more of importance to that company than, let's say, HMC. But again, due to the fact that HMC have got a fairly strong legal base behind them, it's going to be very interesting to see if they can turn this around and actually win the lawsuit. For me, I'm going to stay out of this stock at the moment. However, I do want to keep an eye on it in terms of their updates on this lawsuit, as it is quite interesting in my opinion. But I'm not going to invest any of my capital into the stock because literally there is no fundamentals here at play at all in my opinion. Even the other penny stock I hold at the moment, HighTide, there's a lot of fundamentals at play there, and that's a long-term hold for me. Whereas with HCMC, there's no kind of structure in the company in terms of fundamentals, in my personal opinion. Now, a lot of people might disagree with that, but I believe there's nothing there of real significance, and it's all due to the lawsuit. So if that's the case, you're better off just kind of flipping a coin with your money, or kind of doing something like that, because it is a 50-50 chance, and it's completely out of your own it's out of your own control. So for me, it's not really for me, but I do want to keep up to date with the company, definitely going forward. So that's pretty much it for today's video. I just wanted to give a very brief update on HighTide, ticker symbol HITIF, and HITIF Management, ticker symbol HCMC, on any kind of up-to-date share news or catalysts. Again, there hasn't been a whole lot of news for these two stocks over the last few days, but there has been over the last few weeks. So if you found this video anyway helpful or interesting, it'd be much appreciated, as always, if you could smash that like button, and if you're new around here, it'd be great if you consider subscribing. But most importantly, if you have any questions, comments, queries, or suggestions, please don't hesitate to comment below, and I'll be sure to get back to you as quick as I can. I'd also be very interested to know if you hold either of these stocks and how many shares you have in either of these positions. Thanks very much, enjoy your Tuesday, and I will see y'all in tomorrow's video.